Assalamu alaikum dear students. I Dr. Muhammad Aslam from Department of Pakistan Studies. Welcome to the lecture number 15 of our course, that is Ideology and Constitution of Pakistan. Today's lecture focuses on an important topic in Pakistan constitutional history, that is Constitution of Pakistan 1956, 1962 and 1973. Before we begin our detailed discussion, let us first look at the micro learning outcome of today's lecture. Dear students, by the end of this lecture, you will be able to identify the key features of the 1956, 1962 and 1973 Constitution and to understand the comparative significance of all three constitutions of Pakistan. And finally analyze the reason behind the failure of 1956 and 1962 constitutions and the success of 1973 constitution. Now we will discuss the introduction of our topic. In the previous lecture, constitutional developments in early Pakistan from 1947 to 1956, we have discussed about the struggle of Pakistan to frame a stable constitution facing political instability and leadership challenges. In this lecture, we will study three very important constitutional documents that play a key role in shaping Pakistan's political and legal system. A constitution is not just a legal document, it reflects a nation's vision, defines how powers is distributed, protect citizens' rights, and establish the structure of government. So students, after gaining independence in 1947, Pakistan did not have a permanent constitution. Instead, it operated under the Interim Government of India Act 1935. The task of creating a new framework fell to the first Constituent Assembly, यानी कानून साज अदारे के ज़िम्मे था. The deadlock was partially broken by the Objective Resolution 1949, which laid the foundation for an Islamic democratic state, and the One Unit Scheme 1955, which merged the provinces of West Pakistan into a single entity to match the political weight of East Pakistan. And finally, under the leadership of Prime Minister Chaudhry Muhammad Ali, the constitution was passed on Feb 29, 1956 and implemented on March 23, 1956. Dear students, now we will discuss the salient features of the Constitution of 1956. Number one, the Islamic Republic. One of the most significant features of the 1956 Constitution was that it officially declared Pakistan an Islamic Republic. यानी इसने पहली दफ़ा पाकिस्तान को इस्लामी जमहूरिया करार दिया था. This provision reflected the ideological foundation of the country and aspirations of Muslim population. The constitution also emphasized that no law would be enacted contrary to the teaching of the Islam as laid down in Quran and Sunnah. It also provided for the establishment of institutions such as the Islamic Advisory Board to guide the government on Islamic matters. यानी इस्लामी एडवाइजरी बोर्ड बनाया गया था जो हुकूमत को इस्लामी मामलात में मशावरत या मशवरे देने के पाबंद था. Point number 2, Federal System of Government. The Constitution introduced a federal system recognizing the existence of different provinces and regions within the country. Pakistan consisted of two major wings, East Pakistan and West Pakistan. उस वक्त पाकिस्तान के दो हिस्से थे, एक मशरकी पाकिस्तान और दूसरा मगरबी पाकिस्तान था. इनको मिला के एक वफाक बना दिया गया. The Constitution distributed powers between the central government and the provinces. Although the center retained significant authority, this arrangement aimed to maintain national unity while allowing some degree of provincial autonomy. Now the parliamentary form of government. The 1956 Constitution adopted a parliamentary system of government. The president served as the ceremonial head of the state, यानी सदर बराए नाम इख्तियारात का मालिक होगा, while the prime minister was the head of the government and exercised the executive authority. The Prime Minister and the Cabinet were responsible to the National Assembly, यानी वज़ीर आज़म और उसकी कबीना नेशनल असम्बली के सामने जवाबदेह थी. This structure was intended to ensure democratic accountability where the government remained answerable to elected representatives. Now, unicameral legislature. The Constitution established a unicameral legislature known as the National Assembly of Pakistan. The assembly consisted of 300 members, equally divided between East Pakistan and West Pakistan. This arrangement was based on the principle of parity, यानी बराबरी की बुनियाद पर था, which meant equal representation for both wings, despite the population advantage of East Pakistan. So now we will discuss the fundamental rights. The Constitution granted several fundamental rights to citizens like freedom of speech and expression, freedom of religion, freedom of association, equality before the law, protection of life and property. Now the independent judiciary. The Constitution assured the independence of the judiciary. The Supreme Court of Pakistan was established as the highest judicial authority. National language. The Constitution recognized Urdu and Bengali as the national language of Pakistan. यानी उर्दू और बंगाली को पाकिस्तान में एज ए कौमी ज़ुबान के तौर पे नाफज किया गया था. दिस डिसीजन वाज मेड आफ्टर इंटेंस पॉलिटिकल डिबेट एंड लैंग्वेज मूवमेंट इन पाकिस्तान. नाउ द अडल्ट फ्रेंचाइज. इसका मतलब है वोट का हक. The Constitution introduced the principle of adult franchise, setting the age at 21 and allowing both men and women to vote equally. So student, now we will discuss the failure of 1956 Constitution के 1956 का आइन क्यों नाकाम हुआ था. Number 1, political instability. One of the main reasons for the failure of 1956 Constitution was political instability. Between 1956 and 1958, several prime ministers came to power in a short period, which made it difficult to maintain stable governance and implement constitutional provision effectively. So student, now we will discuss the weak political parties. Political parties in Pakistan were purely organized and lacked strong ideological foundations. Many politicians were more interested in gaining power than strengthening democratic institutions. As a result, parliamentary politics became dominated by personal rivalries and shifting alliances. Now the point number 3, bureaucratic and military influence. Another factor was the increasing influence of the bureaucracy and the military in political affairs. Civilian government depends on bureaucrats and military leaders for administrative support. Over time, this imbalance allowed the military and bureaucracy to gain significant political power, which undermined democratic institutions. Point number 4, failure of the parliamentary system. Although the Constitution introduced a parliamentary system, the political environment in Pakistan was not conducive to its success. The frequent changes in government and the absence of strong party discipline created stability in the National Assembly. This instability weakened public confidence in parliamentary democracy and created opportunity for non-democratic forces to intervene. Now the regional tensions between East and West Pakistan. Despite the principle of parity यानी बराबरी के बावजूद tension between East and West Pakistan continued. Many people in East Pakistan believed that they were politically and economically marginalized. These regional grievances created dissatisfaction with the constitutional system and contributed to the political unrest. And on the other hand, imposition of martial law in 1958. The immediate cause of the Constitution's failure was the military coup of October 1958. President Iskandar Mirza, in collaboration with the General Ayub Khan, abrogated the Constitution and imposed martial law. Soon afterward, Ayub Khan removed Iskandar Mirza and assumed full control of the government. This marked the beginning of Pakistan's first period of military rule and brought the 1956 Constitution to an end. So students, now we will discuss the Constitution of 1962. The 1962 Constitution lies in the political chaos following the 1958 military coup. After General Yahya Khan power and abrogated the 1956 Constitution, he argued that a British-style parliamentary system was unsuitable for Pakistan. He introduced the basic democracy system in 1959 to create a loyal electoral college and appointed the Shahabuddin Commission to draft a new framework. However, Ayub Khan ignored many of the Commission's democratic recommendations, instead enforcing a presidential system keep all the power in his own hands. It failed to sustain political legitimacy and collapsed in 1969 amid widespread protest and political unrest. Now we will discuss the salient feature of the Constitution of 1962. First of all, the presidential form of government, yani Sadarti Hukumat. One of the most important features was presidential system. Under this system, the president was both the head of the state and the head of the government. The president held extensive executive powers, including the authority to appoint ministers, governors, and other high officials. Unlike the parliamentary system, the executive was not directly responsible to the legislature. This arrangement significantly strengthened the position of president and centralized political authority. Point number 2, strong executive authority. The Constitution gave the president wide powers in the administration of the country. He could issue ordinance, control the executive machinery, and influence legislative processes. The president also had the power to appoint the cabinet, which was responsible to him rather than to the legislature. Now the basic democracy system. So student, another key feature of the Constitution was the introduction of the basic democracy system. Under this system, a network of approximately 80,000 basic democrats was created at the local government level. These basic democrats were elected representatives who perform local administrative functions. They also formed the electoral college responsible for electing the president and the member of the national and provincial assemblies. Ayub Khan argued that this system promoted grassroots democracy and local participation. However, critics believe that it limited direct public participation and strengthened the control of the central government over political process. Point number 4, unicameral legislature. The 1962 Constitution established unicameral legislature known as the National Assembly. यानी नेशनल असम्बली या कौमी असम्बली का एक ही हाउस था जिसके मेंबरान की तादाद 156 रखी गई थी, यानी 156 मेंबर थे, with equal representation of the East and West Pakistan. This arrangement continued the principle of parity. Now the indirect election. Unlike the Constitution of 1956, which allowed direct election based on adult franchise, the 1962 Constitution introduced indirect election. Members of the National Assembly, provincial assemblies, and the President were elected by the basic democrats rather than by the general population. This system significantly reduced the direct role of the public in choosing their national leaders. The point number 6, limited fundamental rights. Initially, the Constitution did not include a comprehensive list of fundamental rights, which attracted strong criticism from political leaders and the public. Due to pressure from opposition parties and civil society, the Constitution was later amended to include fundamental rights such as freedom of speech, equality before the law, and protection of civil liberties. Now the role of Islam in the Constitution. An Islamic Advisory Council was established to recommend ways of bringing law in accordance with the Islamic principles. However, compared with the 1956 Constitution, the Islamic provisions were initially less prominent. Now we will discuss the national language. The Constitution recognized Urdu and Bengali as the national language of Pakistan. 1956 के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की तरह इस बार भी उर्दू और बंगाली को पाकिस्तान की कौमी ज़ुबान का दर्जा दिया गया. This summit to address tension between East and West Pakistan regarding language issues. And now the independent judiciary. The 1962 Constitution maintained the independence of judiciary and continued to the role of the Supreme Court as the highest judicial authority. The judiciary had the power to interpret the Constitution and ensure that government actions remained within legal limits. So students, now we will discuss the reason of the failure of the 1962 Constitution. हम 1962 के आइन की नाकामी की वजूहात डिस्कस करेंगे. नंबर 1 man presidential system. The constitution concentrated nearly all powers in the hands of the president. यानी अयूब खां के पास थे तमाम इख्तियारात. He could appoint the cabinet, governors and judges and even veto legislation. वो रिजेक्ट कर सकता था किसी भी लॉ को या कौमी असम्बली के बनाए हुए कानून को. This left the National Assembly is powerless, leading to a sense of political deprivation among other politicians and the public. The basic democracy's system. Instead of direct election, Ayub Khan introduced an indirect system where only 80,000 basic Democrats could vote for the president and assemblies. The general public felt disconnected from the government as they had no direct say in who ruled the country. This system was widely criticized as a tool for corruption and manipulation. Now the point number 3, East Pakistan, the sense of alienation. The 1962 Constitution did not address the grievances of the East Pakistan. Despite the principle of parity, यानी बराबरी के बावजूद, the central government remained dominated by the West Pakistani elite and the military. The lack of provincial autonomy fueled the six-point movement by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, which eventually led to the separation of East Pakistan. So, the suppression of political parties. Point number 4. Initially, the 1962 Constitution banned political parties even when they were later allowed. They faced heavy restrictions. Without a platform for healthy political debate, the opposition turned to street protests and strikes to express their frustration. The 1965 War and Tashkent Declaration. War with India weakened the economy and the government's image. The subsequent Tashkent Declaration was viewed by many, including Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, as a diplomatic surrender. This sparked the massive student and labor protests that Ayub Khan could not control. And the point number 6, health of the president and military pressure. By 1969, Ayub Khan's health declined and his grip on power loosened. Instead of following his own constitution, he handed power directly to the Army Chief General Yahya Khan, who immediately abrogated the constitution and imposed martial law. So students, now we will discuss another important document, that is 1973 Constitution of Pakistan. After the collapse of 1962 Constitution in March 1969, General Yahya Khan took over, imposed martial law and issued the legal framework order of 1970 to provide a roadmap for the country's first ever direct general election. These elections were held in December 1970, but the results led to a massive political deadlock between the Awami League in East Pakistan and the People's Party in West Pakistan. This crisis eventually escalated into a civil war. Indian intervention and the tragic separation of East Pakistan in December 1971. In the aftermath, a humiliated military leadership handed over power to Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who became the first civilian chief marshal, administrator and president. Recognizing that a broken nation could only be held together by a legal consensus, Bhutto's government drafted an interim constitution in 1972 before forming a parliamentary committee to create a permanent document. The permanent constitution was passed by the National Assembly on 12 April 1973 and came into force on 14 August 1973. Unlike the earlier constitution of 1973, constitution was developed through a broad political consensus among major political parties. It established a federal parliamentary system, defined the rights of the citizen, and incorporated Islamic principles within a democratic framework. So students, now we will discuss the feature of the 1973 Constitution. Number one, the federal parliamentary system. The Constitution of 1973 established a parliamentary system of government in Pakistan. According to Article 90, the executive authority of the Federation is exercised by the federal government, consisting of Prime Minister and federal ministers. The Prime Minister is the head of the government and is elected by the National Assembly under Article 91. The President under Article 41 is the ceremonial head of the state, यानी वो एक बराए नाम इख्तियार का मालिक होगा, and is elected by an electoral college consisting of member of parliament and provincial assemblies. This arrangement ensures that the government remain accountable to the elected representative of the people. Now the point number 2 is federal structure and provincial autonomy. Pakistan is declared a federal republic under Article 1, which defines the territories of the federation including the provinces and other regions. The Constitution divides powers between the federal government and the provinces through the federal legislative list. The Council of Common Interest was established to resolve disputes between the federal government and the provinces and to ensure coordination in matters of national importance. This institution plays a key role in maintaining federal harmony. Now the bicameral legislature, the Constitution introduced bicameral parliamentary system, mean two houses, the National Assembly and Senate. The National Assembly, established under Article 51, represents the people of Pakistan and is elected through direct election based on population. It holds primary legislative authority and forms the government. Senate, established under Article 59, represents the provinces equally, ensuring that smaller provinces have an equal voice in federal legislation. This helps maintain balance between the federations. Now the Islamic provision of 1973 Constitution. The Constitution reflects the Islamic identity of Pakistan through several provisions, like Article 2 declared that Islam shall be the state religion of Pakistan. Article 227 states that all laws must be brought in conformity with the Quran and Sunnah. The Council of Islamic Ideology was created to advise Parliament on whether laws conform to Islamic principle. The Federal Shariat Court, established under Article 203, has the authority to examine whether laws are consistent with the Islamic injunctions. These provisions aim to ensure that legal system of Pakistan reflects Islamic principle while maintaining democratic governance. So now the fundamental rights. The Constitution guarantees a comprehensive list of fundamental rights to citizens under Part 2, Article from 8 to 28. Like laws inconsistent with fundamental rights are avoided, security of person and protection of life and liberty, safeguard regarding arrest and detention, freedom of speech and expression, freedom of profess and practice religion, equality of all citizens before the law, the rights from the foundation of democratic governance and protect individual freedoms. Now students, we will discuss independent judiciary. The Constitution establishes an independent judiciary to uphold the rule of law. Like Article 175 provides for the establishment of Supreme Court, High Courts and subordinate court. And Article 184 grants the Supreme Court the power of regional jurisdiction in matter of public importance relating to fundamental rights. The judiciary also exercises the power of judicial review, ensuring that laws and executive action comply with the Constitution. Now we will discuss the protection of minority rights. The Constitution provides safeguard for the religion minorities in Pakistan. It guarantees freedom to profess, practice and propagate religion. इसके अलावा अक़लियतों के तलीमी हकूक़ के तहफ़्फ़ुज़ की बात की गई थी इसमें, और साथ ये भी कहा गया था कि स्टेट अक़लीतों के लेजिटिमेट राइट्स का तहफ़्फ़ुज़ करेगी। Now we will discuss the point number 8, नेशनल लैंग्वेज, कौमी ज़ुबान। पाकिस्तान में इस बार उर्दू को कौमी ज़ुबान डिक्लेयर किया गया था, while English may be continue to be used for official purpose until arrangements are made for the complete adoption of Urdu. The constitution also allows provinces to promote and develop their regional language, यानी सूबों को इलाकाई ज़बानों को प्रमोट करने का भी हक दिया गया था। Now the written constitution, 1973 constitution is characterized as written because its provisions are deliberately codified into a single comprehensive legal document. Unlike unwritten constitutions such as the UK's, which rely heavily on convention and common laws, the 1973 constitution acts as the supreme law which defines, separates and limits the power of the legislature, executive and judiciary. It consists of 12 parts, 280 articles and 6 schedules. Students, now we will discuss the significance of the 1973 Constitution. Number 1, the Constitution based on political consensus. One of the most important aspects is that it was adopted through national consensus. Major political parties from different regions supported the Constitution, which gave it strong legitimacy. Number 2, the restoration of democracy. After years of military rule under General Ayub Khan and General Yahya Khan, the Constitution restored parliamentary democracy and strengthened representative institution. इसने जमहूरियत को बहाल किया था इस आइन ने. Council of Common Interest. Through institutions such as the Senate and the Council of Common Interest, the Constitution ensured that all provinces participate in national decision making. This helped to maintain political balance with the Federation. Longevity and stability. The 1973 Constitution has remained the basic legal framework of Pakistan for more than 50 years. Although it has faced periods of suspension during military rule, it also been restored as the central governing document. The Constitution has been amended several times to address changing political needs. Now the point number 6 is foundation of democratic governance. Today the 1973 Constitution continues to regulate the structure of government, the contribution of powers and the protection of citizen rights. It provides the legal framework through which political dispute can be resolved through constitutional means. Now the rigid procedure, it is considered a rigid constitution because it requires a 2/3 majority in both the National Assembly and the Senate for amendments. Amendment का मतलब है change, constitution में जो तब्दीली की जाती है. Meaning it cannot be easily changed by any government. So students, now we will discuss the conclusion of our topic. The constitution history of Pakistan reflects that country's continuous struggle to establish a stable and democratic political system. The 1956 Constitution laid the foundation of Pakistan as an Islamic republic with the parliamentary structure but failed due to political instability. But the 1962 Constitution introduced a strong presidential system under military influence yet lacked democratic legitimacy. In contrast, the 1973 Constitution emerged through national consensus and successfully combined federalism, parliamentary democracy and Islamic principles. Despite challenges and amendments, it has remained the most enduring constitutional framework of Pakistan, guiding the country's governance and safeguarding fundamental rights for over 5 decades. Thank you very much for listening the lecture today. Allah Hafiz.